My name is Sarah, and this is something I never wanted to tell anyone. Years have gone by, yet those few weeks feel frozen in time, stuck like a scar in my memory. This isn't a dream, a horror film, or a figment of my imagination. It happened. As real as anything, and honestly, if I hadn't lived it myself, I probably wouldn't believe it either. I was 24 at the time, fresh out of my master's program. I had just started a small job on the outskirts of London. I found a cheap studio apartment, old but clean, a small kitchenette, a bed, and one window that opened out to the street. Life was simple, normal. The first week went by just fine, routine, peaceful. Then one day, something changed. I came home from work, opened the building door, and there it was. A black cat sitting silently on the staircase. Completely still, pitch black fur, golden, glowing eyes. I didn't think much of it. Cats wander around, that's normal. But the strange thing was, the next day, it was in the exact same spot, and the day after that too. On the third day, when I came downstairs, the cat stood up and began walking behind me, quietly. No meow, no sound, just footsteps. When I turned around, it froze, staring at me, unblinking. Eventually, I got used to it. I started ignoring it. Sometimes it sat near my door, other times on the stairs, but it never made a sound. It just stared. And then something changed again. One night, I turned off the lights before going to bed, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw something outside the window. I pulled the curtain back. It was the same black cat, but on the second floor window. How? There was no balcony, no ledge, just empty air. I froze, quickly shut the curtain and dove into bed. The next morning, no trace of the cat. For 2 days, everything was fine again. I convinced myself it was probably a dream, sleep tricking my mind. Then one evening, I noticed the zipper on my bag was open. My power bank was missing. I tore the place apart. Nothing. No signs of a break-in. The door was locked, nothing broken, but the curtain was swaying. I opened the door, and right outside, it was there again, sitting, staring, as if it knew something. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept feeling like someone was walking inside the flat, like something was moving, but every time I checked, nothing. Then came the worst night. Half asleep, I felt pressure on my chest. I couldn't move. When I opened my eyes, there was a shadow, faint but clear. A cat. Its glowing golden eyes, just like before, staring directly into mine. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. The next thing I remember, I passed out. Woke up the next morning, my body aching. When I pulled the blanket back, I saw small paw prints all over the bedsheet, smudged like dirt or ash. I was terrified. I called in sick, lied about feeling unwell, came back and cleaned every inch of the flat. That night, while I was in the bathroom, the door slammed shut, hard. I screamed. When I rushed out, the cat was sitting on my bed. Inside. How? The front door was locked. The window, too. I grabbed a shoe and threw it. It didn't flinch, just stared. Then, slowly, it jumped down, walked to the corner of the room, and vanished. I left the flat the very next day. Didn't take anything except the clothes I was wearing. Never told anyone, not even my friends. Even now, years later, whenever I see a black cat, my chest tightens, my breath catches. Because some silences, they're not just silence. Some things, they follow you. My name is Fahad, and this happened to me about 2 years ago. At the time, I was living in the US and had just moved into a small apartment in an old but quiet neighborhood in Chicago, thanks to a new job. This isn't a story about blood, magic, or shadows. It's about a cat that sat in front of my door every single day and never moved. At first, I thought it was just a coincidence. Stray cats are common in the city, especially during winter when they look for warmth. My apartment building was old, with creaky wooden doors and stairs that groaned when stepped on. But that cat, it was something else. I saw it for the first time on my second morning there. As I opened my front door, it was just sitting there, silent, motionless, staring straight at me. It wasn't black, just a regular brown and white cat. But its eyes, those eyes looked like they could see straight through you. I paused for a second, then said, "Move, I need to leave." It didn't move. I had to shut the door a little forcefully to get it to back off. That evening when I returned from work, it was there again. Same spot. The next day too, and the next. I thought maybe it had grown attached to me. I tried offering it some milk, but it didn't even sniff it. I called it softly. It didn't take a single step. Just sat there, silent, staring. Within a few days, I started to feel uneasy. Her presence, or whatever it was, weighed on me. Every time I approached my door, I felt a strange tension. And every time I opened it, there she was. Like she knew when I was coming and going. One day I asked the maintenance guy if someone had lost a cat. Someone said no. Someone else guessed it might be a stray. I asked about the building cameras. Apparently, they weren't working. Then one evening, I opened the door slowly, and she wasn't there. I felt relieved, like a burden had lifted. I went for a walk, cool air, clear skies, grabbed some coffee. But when I returned home, she was there, even closer to the door than ever before. That night, I began to lose sleep. I'd see dreams of standing at a closed door with the sound of a cat breathing just behind it. Sometimes in the dream, the door would creak open and the cat would walk in. Once, I got up in the middle of the night to get water. I switched on the kitchen light and saw a shadow move toward the door. I ran over and opened it instantly. She was sitting there, still, silent, like she'd never moved. This might sound ordinary, but that feeling, that constant sense of being watched, that pressure, that presence, it was unbearable. I decided I had to leave that apartment. I gave notice. 2 more days to move. I packed everything, but on the final night, I chose to stay at a hotel. Just a few hours left until morning. As I was leaving the apartment for the last time, I opened the door. She wasn't there. I didn't feel scared, just confused. For 2 straight months, I had seen that cat every single day, and now, gone just like that? I went to the hotel, spent the night. Next morning, I returned to collect the last of my things, and what I saw in front of my door I've never been able to forget. Lying there on the ground was the cat's skin, just the skin, like someone had peeled the entire cat off. The eye holes still intact, no blood, no body, just empty. I wanted to call the police, but I didn't. What would I say? Who would believe me that a cat sat outside my door for 2 months and then one day left behind only her skin? I never went back, and I haven't looked a cat in the eyes since. Even now when I see a cat sitting near a doorway, my heart skips a beat, because that silence, it wasn't just the cats. It was something else, something that might still be sitting quietly outside someone else's door. I still can't believe I'm writing this because what I went through wasn't a movie or a story someone made up. It was real, and the truth is always scarier than fiction. It all started the day I moved into my grandmother's old house. The house was located in a forgotten, silent town in Yorkshire. My grandma had passed away and the house was left abandoned. I had no idea what I was walking into, not about the cat, not the shadows, not her. On the very first night, just as I lay in bed, I heard something moving above me. Soft footsteps, like a cat walking slowly, right over my ceiling. I assumed maybe a stray had gotten in through the attic, but the next morning I searched the entire house. Nothing. Yet, every night, that same soft pattering, as if something with paws circled above me. And from my window, I always felt like someone or something was watching me. On the 3rd night, it was raining heavily. I stood near the kitchen window making tea. When I looked outside, I saw it, a black cat, soaked in rain. Its fur bristling, its body stiff, and eyes glowing like headlights in the dark. But they didn't look like a cat's eyes. They looked human, staring right at me. I blinked, and it was gone. That was the first night the lights in my house turned off by themselves. And when I got in bed, I felt something curl up near my feet. When I woke up the next morning, books from my desk were scattered across the floor. The mirror, usually upright, was tilted downward as if pushed. And outside the window again, that same black cat, sitting, watching. I raised my phone to take a picture. Click. But when I looked at the image, There was nothing there, just the empty window. The camera hadn't captured her. That same day, an old woman from the neighborhood knocked on my door. She looked ancient, wrinkled skin, gray shawl, and fear in her eyes. She asked me, "You've seen the cat, haven't you? You need to leave. Now. No one survives in that house once she's here." I laughed nervously and said, "It's just a cat." She looked straight into my soul and whispered, "That's no cat. That's what wears the skin of a cat." And she walked away. That night I went back to my room, and on the wall, in something red like blood, was a single word: leave. I turned on the lights and it was gone. Sometime around 2:30 a.m., I jolted awake. I felt something in the room. I turned on my bedside lamp, and there it was, sitting on the chair by my closet, the black cat. But this time, its eyes were glowing red, not like an animal, like something possessed. It slowly jumped down from the chair and walked toward the door, and the door opened on its own. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. My entire body was frozen. I thought maybe I was dreaming, but the next morning I went to the bathroom, and on my arm, 4 deep claw marks, like something had scratched me while I slept. Except, I never moved. I never woke up. So how? In the middle of all this, I opened my grandma's old chest. Inside was a dusty, leather-bound diary. On the first page it read, "She comes every generation. To the one left alone, she's not a cat, she's a curse." My hands started shaking. That night I had made my decision. I was going to leave the house, but it was already too late. At exactly 3:11 a.m., the lights went out, the window creaked open, and she entered. It was the first time I saw her real form. She wasn't a cat anymore. Her body was half human, half creature, her eyes bleeding, her mouth too wide. She stepped into the room and said one word: "Stay." I wanted to scream, but no voice came out. I wanted to run, but the door was locked. It's been 5 days. No one hears me, no one sees me. The doors open and close, her steps echo every night, and I'm still trapped. If you're reading this, if you ever see a cat staring at you from your window, leave. Because once she sees you, she never forgets. She wasn't just a cat, she was a warning, a curse in the shape of innocence. And once she enters, something is always taken away.